Bum! Hello, hello, welcome to the Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Friday, Stream Street Day 300 and something else. I'm joined by everyone in the chat with the emotes. Owen Jackson! Hey, Owen, how are you?
I'm very well. I want to get these little things for everybody else because they're just as loved as me. You know, Dan fans, that rolls off the tongue.
Dan fans does work.
Yeah.
Dan fans does work, but I think you'll find that everyone loves you. And so that's what the chat is going to show right there, and that's okay. We're all okay with it. Look at that. Oh, I fucking love that. It makes me so happy. Look at it. Woohoo!
Well, I appreciate you all very much. You make me happy, so thanks. Yeah. How are you, Rob? You good?
Really good. Thank you very much. A very exciting day. You and me talking through lists for an event that we're doing coverage of tomorrow, the Grandhammer event. So I'm really looking forward to that. Bit freaked out by how zoomed in my camera is, so I'm trying to kind of sort that as we're live because awkwardly close to my face.
Are you doing a full Eddie Eccles on us? Is that what you're saying? It's
like I'm right here, and I've got.
Hello, welcome to the Warhammer Live preview. Can I just thank everyone in the chat because there's a whole bunch of lovely people who just joined in the chat and say thank you to Pino for subscribing. That's really nice for resubscribing. Thanks to MJ Pexy for donating 100 bits and Hot Sauce Teddy for subscribing. Iron Gutsman, oh my god, what a legend, love him. Big Goldfish as well, who I watched on Twitch this morning. Big Goldfish, just want to do a shout out for him. He started a Twitch channel. A lot of people might not know this. It's not Warhammer content. Big Goldfish is the guy that built, most of the TSN arena, him and Nathan between each other. They don't own a tape measure for some reason between them, but they can build things, mainly by hitting stuff. However, he started a new Twitch channel. I don't know if you guys are interested. He's hooked a phone up to his digger, and he just digs holes on a building site. That's
wow.
Moves earth around, digs holes. Weirdly therapeutic. Weirdly therapeutic. Yeah, 15 minutes.
You must like the show because you're often digging holes that you're trying to get out of, aren't you, Rob, all the time?
Only with my fucking mouth, Owen. That's what I'm doing always. I'm like elevator to ride. Anyway, right. So, how are you? Are you well?
Yeah, I think so. I'm smarting from a loss in a tournament last night, but what can you do? If I, got upset every time I lost, I'd probably just be crying all the time. But yeah, no. Other than that, it was good. I had a lovely game against Dan Arnold from the Troll Slayers. He bested me with his stone horns. Killed 46 Mortek Guard on turn 1. It was. I would say it was a bloodbath, but there's no blood. It was a bone bath, even though sounds weird. But yeah, no, that was fun. And other than that, yeah, looking forward. I'm playing tomorrow, so looking forward to playing some of these lists we're going to talk about. So yeah, good. Yeah.
Me too. We're doing some coverage tomorrow. I'm very much looking forward to that. A quick announcement, which I will re-announce at the end of the show. It does seem like all the Lumineth Realm Lords rules have leaked. And so at 4 p.m. today, me and Adam Mumford will be doing a live show going through the rules. More on that later. Very excited. I've taken a quick precursory look. They look absolutely fine. Yeah, completely fine. Yeah.
Fine.
They're fine, but I'm waiting to get confirmation to see if those are the actual rules because they seem arguably not strong enough, is what I think. So that's what I'd say. Right, anyway, but that's not for today. Twitch chat, what up? Thank you to everyone in the chat. Love you tons. Thanks to everyone on the podcast. Stay hydrated. Thanks to everyone on Twitch. Everyone on YouTube leaving comments. I really appreciate that. And then Patreon. Honestly, I couldn't live without you. A couple of bucks every month is a dream from you guys, so thank you for being brilliant. Serbator, I hope they are broke as fuck. Like capitalism is how fucking broke they are. Absolutely late stage Lumineth capitalism. Deeply fucking fucked is what they are.
Wow.
Don't you say that about people, Rob. How dare you? Right, okay. So there's an event tomorrow, Owen, and we're going to talk about it. Big shout out to Scrivo for doing our artwork today. As you guys can see, we're trying to step up those production values time and time again. So Battle in the Digital Realms, a 59-player event over 3 rounds live tomorrow. Owen, you got any kind of like geolocation information or?
Wow. I know that they're from the Netherlands. I think maybe Arnhem.
So near
The
Turkey.
TO is. No, Rob. No. They seem like really nice guys, really super organised, and have put a lot of effort into the event. So I'm sure it's going to go down really well. Yeah, it's a chap called Mezura, if people know him on Discord. Lovely guy. You've been chatting with them as well. They seem all set to go, don't they?
Yeah. He's messaged me today. I'm very much looking forward to. Thanks everyone for helping us get a big old hype train in the chat. You're all brilliant. It seems lovely. All lovely people, as most people are. Another person who's lovely is Pask in the chat. Another one. All you TTS TOs, loads of joy from you guys. Maybe it's because you're doing it from the comfort of your home and you don't have to do anything but wear joggers and you can drink Thatchers while doing it. Not sure. Interested to see what's going on in the future. But, maybe. There's been some other nice TOs who I've met, once or twice. Not many, if I'm honest.
I love Pask, but I've seen that he's bringing, even though he's named all of he's playing tomorrow, and even though he's named all of his units after cheeses, there's still no excuse for a true ogre player to be bringing Seraphon now, is there?
I know, man. What's going on? I actually me and Owen spoke about this off air, but I'm gonna throw this one out to the masses. Here we are. Winning a TTS event is obviously great. I'm gonna put that out there before I go anything further. But because there isn't quite the lauded accolades of winning maybe a real person event, but who knows? I mean, still real people. But you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, I feel like TTS is actually a purist form of Warhammer, where really you can experiment and try stuff out and be a bit more of a purist. And it's not like I've got to win this event. It's like gonna hang out at the weekend, try this stuff out. Do you know? Am I set? Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's also a fundamental thing to do with Ogre More Tribes, which, as Gutsman says in the chat, Pask and Gutsman can't play Ogres at the same event or the world will explode.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
No worries, man. All good. Sorted.
Yeah,
Sorry, Pask.
That all makes... Sorry, Pask. Apologies. Yeah, that's good.
Checks out.
Right, so yeah, looking forward to this event tomorrow. We're going to be doing the live coverage, so it's going to be super cool. Let's talk about the battle plans, shall we, Owen? Mm-hmm. Wait, hold on. Mission pack, important point. Missions not in advance. We talked about this a bit on Monday, didn't we?
We did indeed, yeah. And I'm going to change things up for my next tournament. But yeah, missions not in advance is kind of traditional for me as such. So yeah, that didn't affect the way that I created my list. And then they do have auxiliary objectives this time, though, Rob.
They do. Well, I mean, it's only the Aussies who seem to not give a damn about auxiliary objectives, right?
It seems to have been a trend in the last few weeks, definitely. Maybe just looking to have a simpler, quicker game. And I really like them. I like it when you've got a tough matchup and you've got something to scrap for. But I can see the argument for not having them as well. I think with a one-dayer, with just 3 rounds, those secondaries are what really determine the winners and the top 10 kind of thing. So I think they're important on a one-dayer, definitely.
Agreed. And then I don't think there's anything else. 3-hour rounds. 3-hour rounds. TOs in the chat. I think Barney's in the chat as a TO. What's happening if it goes over time? Very important because are rounds going over time? Are we going to see battle reports that take 11 hours? The Age of Sigmar community really needs to fucking do its shoes up and pull its bootstraps up when it comes to finishing tournaments. I would say, well, rounds anyway. I wonder what they're going to say about it, but we'll see.
I don't know. Maybe we should have a chat with the guy that brought 200 plague monks, Rob.
Cool. He'll be like, "Hello, this is the Honest Wargamer team. What is it? What the fuck?" Yeah, they just hang up. Yeah, that's what we'll do. All right, fair enough. Disqualified both players. Agreed. Disqualified. Anyway, so 3-hour rounds. The battle plans they've announced right here. So thank you to the guys. Game 1 is shifting objectives. Game 2 is battle for the pass, and then Game 3 is the Blade's Edge. Oh god. How do you feel about the the two battle plans and then the one that we won't even fucking mention?
I really like shifting objectives. I think that's a really good mission. Well, I have got 70 more tech guards, so yeah. But fundamentally, without thinking about what army I'm taking, I think that's a really good mission. Battle for the Pass. I kind of prefer Border War personally because I like it to be landscape rather than portrait, because it, the portrait element, the sort of long ways element for Battle for the Pass is, it does favor armies that can teleport or are super fast. But that being said, Battle for the Pass is like the perfect TTS mission because you don't have to play side on in a weird way. Do you know what I mean? Like, have you played Battle for the Pass?
Tournament.
At a tournament, yeah. And then Blade's Edge.
You can like it if you like it. We can disagree. That's super okay. That's what the whole point of this show is. Everyone has their own opinion.
But
you agree.
I'm not a huge fan. But I can, hopefully it'll create some dynamic games. Hopefully it doesn't, because sometimes it's just like, okay, I outdrop you, I go first, I take 6 points, and it's really hard to come back from there. That can be the way it goes, but we shall see. Yeah,
we shall see.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all battle plans that favour really playing into the centre, which is quite nice. There's nothing really that's a bonus for any particular units. Obviously, shifting objectives is a bonus for battle line, right? Am I the right thing?
It is indeed, yeah. Yeah, you get an extra point for battle line within 6. So, it does benefit having good quality battle line, or, little MSU units of battle line that can just hug the back of the objective while perhaps something else actually is holding it. Good mission. Overall, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, and Blade's Edge is, I don't know. We're in one camp. Some other people think it's great. It was really thought of as a wonderful mission when it first came out, wasn't it? We were all frothy for Blade's Edge.
Yeah, like Blade's Edge. What's so cool? And you play it like, I played Nathan. I was like, you go, turn 1, you go, and he went forward. I was like, oh shit, I lose. Oh damn! But anyway, I mean, really good if you could go first and then only play 2, maybe 3 turns is even better way of doing it. Hopefully we'll see that in some battle reports soon. Who knows? Right, so that's just that's a Pete and Owen joke only, but really loving that one. Colonel Cabbage, thanks for resubscribing. Also to Moon Tyrannid and Plymouth Troll Slayers. It must be like a resubscribe day. And also, huge thank you to Gregorius Chant for donating £10 to the show. I want you to know that that's going towards camera funds, so we can get some even more kick-ass cameras for the live coverage here in the TSN Arena. So that's what that money's going towards. So that's very much appreciated. Thank you. Loads and loads. Let's look at the meta, Owen. Dun, 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 dun. There it is. So, unsurprisingly, Order, the biggest representation, but not as significant as some other tournaments we've seen. 40% of the meta across 9 factions. We'll break that down in a moment. 30% for Chaos. Death 15%, Destruction 13%. Now we've seen spreads like this a bit. Like sometimes Chaos is a bit more. Normally, obviously, Death and Destruction are the least popular factions. Normally, with Order ramping up. Now I know you said you didn't have tons to talk about on this one. I think I have a point which I think is interesting. Is because we obviously know that we're coming towards Age of Sigmar 3 in the next few months, right? Now, or whenever, let's say July. I think the rumours are July, but we'll put that. One of the key points for me is that, having done the stats for the past 3 years, when Stormcast had a book that was even half viable, they were 15% of the meta. Now, there's only 1 or 2 Stormcast lists, I think, in this. I think it's 1, but I'll double check. Stormcast lists in this particular meta. However, when Stormcast become popularised again, I actually think this number goes up.
Okay.
And that's the interesting part, because at one point, Stormcast were 12 to 14% of the meta for a couple of years. And really, it's only the fact that they haven't had a book for 3 years that I think is the reason we're not seeing it. Lumineth Realm Lords, obviously, new book coming tomorrow. Super fine, completely okay. Average at best. Please buy more of them from my store. Use my affiliate link, which is www.idon'thaveone.com. And then so I think that's an interesting part, because we talk a little bit about the dominance of Order anyway. I actually think the dominance of Order is going to tick up in the next edition. That's what I'm trying to say. Depending on whether or not some factions like Destruction might somehow get better in the next edition or whatever it is. But I don't know. What's your take on the overall kind of like metas that we see at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, if you just reel off the kind of armies that are doing well and have historically done well over the last year, a lot of them do sit in order. I mean, when you think about just conversely, when you think about the 4 Chaos Gods, it's only really one, perhaps 2. Yeah, Tzeentch and Nurgle, which are really, really strong within there. And then, everything else, Skaven, Khorne, Slaanesh, Legions of Chaos Ascendant, Slaves to Darkness, everything's just that little bit down. Whereas I think in order, the things that make you good at the game, there's loads of viable options. Daughters of Cain, Idoneth Deepkin, Seraphon, Caradron Overlords, and then other books will get bumps as well. I'm sure there's some things I've missed, but I don't know. People like to play the good guys, right? And people would perhaps think that Order is the good guys. So they and also getting people into the game, in your early teens or when you're a kid or whatever. Then your parents aren't going to buy you like a sort of big demon covered in blood, but with a giant axe. They're probably going to buy you some golden dudes that look like they're there to save the day. So, that's probably at the root of it. That's kind of my thoughts.
True, everyone loves a hero. Everyone loves a hero. That's why I like Al Swearingen from Deadwood, the hero of the story, in my opinion. Right, can I just do a quick one? Alistair Menace, love that fella. Big shout out to Grotnets all day. Also another one from Dark Design, Lumineth Table Lords. And hello to Lethargic Bearloom, who has been commenting on every YouTube video, thanking us for uploading them there. Our pleasure. It's very much appreciated. He's on day 8. He needs to catch up with us. And also KSH Miles. Owen, this one's to you. Bit late, but as the guy who brought 200 Plague Monks, I'd like to say in my defense, they're the only Skaven thing that is reliant on having a 5-wound hero alive. Any clapback, Owen, in that situation? What are you feeling?
I just want to say that I'm not criticizing his list in any way. He's just a madman for pushing 200 digital. I running 70 Mortek Guard on 25mm bases, and that's enough of a grief. But 200 models to move around, it's just, he's going to be tired. He's going to have tired eyes and a tired brain. So
I am. Your finger's going to hurt and you're mental. That's what I'm going to tell you. Imagine that on a table. Your back could be killing. Yeah, murder. That's what it would be. But no, good luck, honestly. Loads of love. All right, so should we talk? You looked at Death. Should we just have a quick breakdown of the Death Alliance here? Oh, yeah, like Grand Alliance. So there are 3 Flesh Eater Courts and 6 Ossiarch Bone Reapers, 0 Nighthaunt, 0 Soulblight Gravelords. They're not out. 0 Legions of Nagash, and weirdly 0 Wraith Fleet. Not a surprise there. They took a bit of a nerf in the last FAQ, so we haven't seen as many Wraith Fleet as we once saw. I think also they're all blocked up in the Suez Canal.
Yeah. They're all Tokyo drifting their way to the bottom tables right now. So Flesh Eaters and Bone Reapers. I thought I was going to be, like a little bit of one of the cool kids with, one of the 2 Bone Reapers players or whatever. But six Bone Reapers, and we got 3 Mortis Praetorians and 3 of my favorites, 3 of the Petrifex Elite, which is nice to see. So there's a Catacross Nagash in there, what I call the Catagash, which is fun. That's all has to be a Mortis Praetorians, and there's not much left. I think you've probably got 40 Mortek Guard and then Catacross and Nagash in there. There's quite a few of your sort of archetypal Catacross with 2 crawlers and then a selection of stuff. But I think there's quite some fun to be had in Petrifex Elite. So there's a really nice list. You tried the Deathglaive, didn't you, Rob? The Catacrosian Deathglaive Battalion.
I did.
2 units of Stalkers and a unit of the Harbingers with the pre-game move. They just don't have the output or the sustainability. I just think they're a little bit too expensive, really, for what you get. The Stalkers are amazing. And I think probably about the right points cost. Although the army plays dynamically differently, so the Stalkers aren't really viable. You'd rather just take the wounds in the output. Probably a Mortek Guard is each Mortek Guard in wounds versus a Stalker is just better in all days. But I think you do get something fairly unique out of the Harbingers, but I think they're just a bit expensive. Truth be told. Yeah. And I do think though that the prevalent threats like these, like Seraphon, don't like it up 'em. Like Seraphon, they don't like it if you go and storm the castle. Similarly with Tzeentch to a degree, and catching up with KO boats is quite tough. So I do like that he's got one unit of 6 Harbingers in there with the 3d6 charge and the pre-game move. So it is able to put. It's not a huge alpha, but it is able to put a lot of pressure on and be pretty fast. So yeah, some interesting Reapers lists there. I think Mikey, Age of Nagash, is taking a mixture of Death Riders with a couple of Crawlers and a Liege. So he's gone for a bit more speed. And then I'm just spamming loads of Mortek Guard with Harvesters because it's fun. So yeah,
it is fun. Getting to roll those dice every time. Have we seen any Smashbats in the Flesh Eater Courts lists?
Yes, there is one, what you'd call the classic Smashbat, the nuclear Vargulf, as Chris calls it. So yeah, I like a list. It's similar to the list that I played against you on Breakfast Battles, I think. So attendance at court along with the Royal Mordants. So it's got a lot of horrors, but all the horrors in the attendance of court, they re-roll all their hits if the Archregent's on the table. So it doesn't have any proximity. And then he's got his Royal Mordants sort of hero phase move, normal move, run and charge, Grave Robber, Bilious Decanter, that kind of thing. So yeah, there is a classic Smashbat. Somebody who was playing the Smashbat a lot, and I think he's in the chat, is Hippie Chef. He plays so much on TTS, and he's settled on a feast day, a mixture of Mordants and a Dead Watch. So quite a lot of flayers, and getting that free feeding frenzy once per turn. So yeah, saving on a lot of CP, and then he's gone double battalion as well. So if he keeps everything in its ranges, then there's lots of your favorite thing, Rob, going twice for a CP.
It's excellent. The only thing you can make it better is actually if you could teleport and do it. Is the only thing I feel makes it.
More on that. More on that at 4:00. And then there's a classic when the book.
So I had a question in the chat about Smashbat. So Smashbat is a Vargulf that you can take in Flesh Eater Courts. You have the ability in Flesh Eater Courts anyway to stack a load of buffs like plus a mountain of attacks, fight twice. Those are kind of the 2 key ones, but then there's a bunch of other stuff, Billy's Decanter and some other things. So you can basically make a Smash Captain from 40k if you're coming in from 40k, but out of a half a necro-sized vampire that's turned into kind of like a bat beast. And yeah, Smash Bat. I mean, it's so much cooler than a Smash Captain.
Yeah, definitely. And he's running around as well. He's got a little, rather than running around with a thunder hammer, he's just got a little, one of those sort of leathery sacks. What's it called? A flagon or something? And then that's just filled with bile and blood and pus and stuff. And he guzzles that down, goes mental, and then dies. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Exactly what the UK is going to look like July 13th, actually. So, all right. So that's death. That's what we're seeing there. Let's go to destruction. The lads. Right. So this is a story in 3 parts, really. To break it down, we'll start with Bone Splitters, Big War, Iron Jaws, obviously coming out from the Uruk Walklands book. Now, Big Wars are generally fairly similar most of the time, although there is some tasty. There's a tasty list, and it's 8 times 3 Gore Grunters in a double Gorefist battalion list, which is oh boy. It's also in Iron Suns as well, so that's actually in Iron Jaws, which I think is pretty cool. Do you like that one, Owen? I think that one's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've got that one down as one of my lists to talk about at the end. The bacon cannon, I'm calling it, Rob. The bacon cannon. We've had the salmon cannon. It's Harry's bacon cannon. Just send them all off. Finger guns all the way. That's
So we're talking about that later. Now, there are 2 Ogre tribes lists. One, which is one of my lists for later, which has got a Scarl and his Winterbite. So we'll talk more about that later. So it's pretty hot goss there. And there's also an Underguts. 4 Iron Blasters. And get your Archie emotes out in the chat if you've got Archie emotes, because everyone loves a trier. That's what the Archie emote is for. Like, everyone loves a trier. Yeah, and I've used Underguts. I've used the 4 Iron Blasters. You gotta love a trier, is what I say. But loads of love. Like, I'm super hoping it's just like, I've hit with everything, I've wounded with everything, max damage, but it's not happening. We've all tried it. Oh, we love a trier. So yeah, and then jumping over, because Destruction's a very fascinating one. There's loads of really wild lists here, which I think is really cool. Gloomspite Gits, two lists, and they are full of Boingrot Bounders. There's one that's got 9 Rockgut Troggoths, which is just a brick, 420 points of power. Another, but then it's got 2 lots of 10 Boingrots, which I quite like that. You've got this brick in the centre, and you've got these things that can either fly over the top or fly around the flanks, depending. I think that's quite cool, 2 times 10. And then 2 times 15. 2 times 15 Boingrot Bounders in the other list, so loads in there. This gives you, Owen, the opportunity, as everyone, there's a man in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar community that isn't on Twitter, and I am going to ask him to come on the show next week. He's famously brilliant. Joa Noah Doa Singh, I think is his name.
His name is Juan Noah Singh, and it's going to be... Oh, I've just knocked my computer off. I was so excited about him. It's it's going to be Juan fans. Yeah, he plays 3 times 15 Boingrots, and does great with it, and is a lovely man. And I think, yeah, you're a bit bored of everyone telling you how amazing he is, so you want to experience him for yourself, don't you, Rob?
It's fucking. Apparently, he is like, it's like. Honestly, I have different people from around the world call me in my day. They're like, do you know this Joe Noah Singh? He's like basically brilliant. And the reason that he's also like, not only is he an incredible human being, to prefix this all, yeah, he's also smashing face at the minute with Boingrot Bounders apparently around the world.
Yeah, he's doing well with it. I think he's maybe like got a 70%, 80% win record with them. But unfortunately, he's not playing at this tournament, Rob. But it does look like others are kind of following his lead with those multiple units of Boingrots. Is it Orkman that's running one of the Gits lists, Rob? I think it is, isn't it? It's our guy.
Yeah.
God,
Our guy.
Destruction just seems to gravitate, like the just nice people seem to gravitate towards Destruction, don't they, Rob?
Are you going to say that Destruction is the coolest faction? Are you finally on that boat? Is that where you're at?
I don't own a Destruction army, but I'm Destruction curious, I must say, Rob.
Everyone, like a long enough timeline, everyone becomes a Destruction player. That's how things happen, in my opinion. But so yeah, like the Destruction art list that we see here, a lot of variety, which I think is fun. A lot of different builds. I haven't really talked about one of the ogre lists, I think, which is quite interesting. I got to say as well, like just put myself under the bus a little bit here. Did a show on the Ogre More Tribes book the other day. Actually, there's recently been like several attempts to really like break open what isn't a very wide book in the Ogre More Tribes book. So obviously, like we talked about Yobad, Boulderhead, Stonehorns a lot. When the book came out, I threw pretty much. Well, I think I threw a lot of things under the bus. I was trying to make Underguts work. I thought maybe there was something there, but no. But a lot of the community have like proven me wrong in a bunch of really good ways. We've obviously seen Iron Gutsman already done well with the Gutsman as well. We've seen Mick and a bunch of other guys are doing some real interesting work with Thunder Tusks at the moment, which I think is also fun to see. And now we're going to look at another list later with Yetis. So and then like we said, Joa and some other people trying with Boingrot. So still loads to unpack in the Destruction kind of Grand Alliance, even though it's an older one. And like I expect maybe we're going to see some like top picks. Some missing armies though. Sons of Behemoth, none of those here, which I think is interesting because they seem like a very TTS-able army. Yeah,
that's exactly where my head went straight away. They're very TTS friendly. And also as people like Anthony Magro have shown over in Oz, then you can get some good positive results with them. 4-1, 3-2. So I was surprised not to see them. I think we haven't touched on Chaos yet. But
I know. I'm doing them one at a time. Next up, Chaos. No Beasts of Chaos, 4 Blades of Khorne, 0 Legion of Asgore. 0 Legion of Chaos Descendant. 3 Maggotkin and Nurgle, 3 Skaven Tide. 4 Skaven Tide. 3 Heed Knights of Sinesh, Brave Souls. 0 Slaves of Darkness, and 4 Disciples of Tzeentch. So actually, Skaven are a little bit more popular than we've seen them in past events, which I think is quite interesting. We don't normally tend to see them poking up there. And normally, Disciples of Tzeentch doing really well. However, the last event we did coverage for, Disciples of Tzeentch, they they were one of the most popular armies in attendance, and they ended up not doing particularly well, which is quite interesting overall. So what are your thoughts on Chaos here, Owen? You know what are in all these lists.
There's a straight off how many Archaeons from Darker Design. I think off the top of my head there's maybe 3 Archaeons, I want to say. Yeah, 2 in Tzeentch and 1 in Khorne. Yeah, I think Tzeentch, that tournament that we talk about, there were loads of 2-1s there. And in the Battle of Copenhagen, there were a lot of 3-2s, if I'm not mistaken, and 4-1s for Tzeentch. I think, as we saw with the game with Steve Follows against our man Sven with all the sharks, I think Ideneth and also I watched the other night. I will talk about it more on Monday, but the Bad Moon Loons, Rob, defeated the Alpacas, the Russians. That was
Wow.
Matthew Goldsborough. Beat up the Tzeentch Eternal Conflagration. Just, I said to him, "Oh, well done, man! Or, doing great. Like, well done for." He's like, "Yeah, well, it's easy when you win turn 3 priority, and everything's in his face." But yeah, I think Seraphon and Ideneth probably go into Tzeentch quite well. So maybe that's why they've been kept off the top spot a bit. Interesting, though, we tend to see quite a bit of variety, but all 4 of the Tzeentch builds are Hosts Arcanum, Rob.
Really? So moving away. I think, like I was talking about that purist example, I think like the Change Host build is not really one that needs to be played much more. Like whether it's Eternal Conflagration or Host Duplicitous, I don't think you need to play it. I think the Host Arcanum is a little bit more interesting and lets you play a different game. And I think people who play Tzeentch would pivot naturally. Like maybe you would have seen the same thing like in real world events over the past year or so. You would have had people playing Change Host, and then eventually been like, do you know what? I'm going to pivot a little bit just because I still want to play with my Tzeentch toys, but just play them in a different way. I think that's why the book is really well done in a bunch of different ways that you can pivot a little bit inside it. Was there anything that stood out from those, or like nothing?
Yeah, just fucking Kairos, man. Kairos is in all of them, and he's a bloody menace. Like, I got a message the other day because I mentioned in Host Arcanum, when you go with Gift of Change for the flat 6 mortal wounds and the spawn tag, and I know you're all about that life, aren't you, Rob? You love that shit. That has a 45-inch or 44-inch threat range on turn 1. So, your War Chanter or your Necromancer who wants to make stuff fight twice or whatever, your little hero, your little clutch hero that's going to do some good stuff, then he's going to get turned into a gribbly little spawn super fast. So, Kairos in Host Arcanum, it's disgusting because he's 6-inch pre-game moves and then he's able to set everything up. It's it's pretty horrible. That was very obvious there. One of them's got a lot of Slaves to Darkness heroes. So you've got your Chaos Lord on Manticore who can do the pre-game move. And one of them, I think it's Casper. He's running it with Be'lakor and a load of pinks. And then Steve Follows is running his sort of his classic list that we've seen. There's 2 of those. There's 2 Archaeon and Kairos. But yeah, it's a funny one. As another headline just on Chaos, no Slaves to Darkness, but loads and loads of Slaves to Darkness units riddled throughout all of the different builds. You've got them in Khorne, in Nurgle, not so much in Slaanesh, but again in Tzeentch. So even though there's no Slaves to Darkness armies here, there's loads of Slaves to Darkness units. So yeah, we can touch on that. Where do you want to go next, Rob? Khorne, Slaanesh?
Slaanesh, I think, is the interesting one. Like some brave souls. I saw one on the list that was like very much what I thought we'd see. Seeker Cavalcade. I think it was 3 or 4x5 Slickblade Seekers. I think it was 3 because that's 800 points. A couple of keepers. Very aggro, push forward list. And I was like, yeah, I can see that. I could see that having legs and doing some work. Interesting to see whether we end up with that kind of new book tick up where you get a couple of like shock performances. Week 1, week 2, like I think we saw with the Sons of Behemoth, and then eventually as people get used to playing the army, we see it drop down a little bit. So we'll see how we feel about that. What did you make of the Slaanesh lists?
Well, the prevalent theme is they're all Seeker Cavalcade, which I think was often seen as being the one good battalion. 2 of them are Faultless Blades Pretenders. And then Tavi again. I'm just happy for Tavi because he's not playing Seraphon. So I know that he's been practicing this list and he really does rate it. And he's gone down the route of the Fulmoroid Crusher. You know, the kind of blow up. You know, everyone does
your own stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, if for people who don't know, I think it's on a 3-up, isn't it? You choose he chucks a rock. The Fulmoroid Crusher is an ally. He chucks a rock at a piece of terrain, and everything within a range of it takes D3 mortal wounds on a 3-up. And it's a way of generating loads of depravity off your own stuff. And then he's got that real skirmishy force with lots of the Slick Blade Seekers and a single keeper. So yeah, I would be very, very, very interested to see how he goes. And then other than that, there's one which is a Glutos with an epitome, and then the Seeker Cavalcade, and then another one is just a standard keeper with a Seeker Cavalcade. So yeah, we'll be it'd be nice to see one of them go 3-0 perhaps. Let's see if that's the case, right?
Agreed. It'll be very fun. I like it. It'll be quite fun to see them potentially put them on the stream tomorrow and see if we can see how they play. Ultimately, I think one of the things, just looking at the list, it just felt like there wasn't loads there. But yeah, Blades of Corn, Owen, your boys.
Yes, some real fun stuff here. We can't talk about Corn without talking about Morton Winkle. You know, the epic double Archeon battle that I had with Morton.
Yep.
Big love for you, Morton. Probably one of my Warhammer highlights right there. That was memories made. He's bringing the same list back. Absolutely magnificent list. Reapers of Vengeance, Archeon, Unfettered Fury, Double War Shrine. You know, just make him a 1-up save, reroll everything, push him in, and profit. So yeah, I expect Morton to do well. There's an interesting one, which is Bloodforged and Gore Pilgrims, 2 battalions, which leans very heavily into Blood Warriors and Reavers. There's a single Bloodthirster in there, but it's in Reapers. I would have maybe expected to see that in Goretide, because with all those Blood Warriors, you can actually make them quite scary, and they can run and charge in Goretide. So a little bit of there's probably some stuff I've missed, but there's a bit of a strange decision there on Reapers. We then have we do have a Goretide, which leans very much into a mixture of Slaves to Darkness and a Brass Despoilers battalion. So Ungor, Gore, and some Bulgors. And then there's a Flayed list, Rob. I mean, I'm not going to try and put you on the spot, but do you even know what the Flayed does?
No. I'd like you to know that I've done, since the Corn book came out, I think I've done 2 deep dives into battalions and sub-factions, and like water off of a wall, it just slid right off. Like, not much, I'm going to say. And tell me they do more than not much.
They do. It does a bit. You wait. We're going to talk about the Flay list because it's Corn. It's my heart list for later on.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that. But someone's brought the Forge Wheel Dragon headline. The Forge Wheel Dragon, Rob. Forge Wheel Dragon, and it's going to be brilliant. I mean, he's going to have he's going to have a break time. So that's Corn, a real mixture. Obviously, my pick there would be Morton's Archeon list. Is wonderful. And then Nurgle. I think Nurgle, they really need to make the most of, I don't have any leaks or anything of that nature, but they need to make the most of their janky rules that Nurgle have got, right? Because I think they're super strong. I really do. And they've got that old book thing. There's not much holy within. There's lots of just within, some really strong spells. So we've got 3 Nurgle lists. 2 of them are quite standard. So Blessed Sons, Blight Cyst with Blight Kings. One's got 45. And then a guy called Mitch, who did really well at Battle of Copenhagen. I think he went 4-1 at Battle of Copenhagen. That's 35 Blight Kings in assist with Glutos, Rob.
Really?
Yeah.
We've seen that already. We saw that at the Battle of Copenhagen already. We already saw the -1 to hit bubble on those guys. Makes sense. Also, so thematic. Like absolutely drawing a line. They're like, I'm in charge. I'm a big chunky boy. And then all the other chunky boys are like, welcome to Chunky Boy Town. Like, it's absolutely... It reminds me of, if anyone's seen the film WALL-E, when all the chunky humans are on the little carts going forward. Like, that's how I feel the Blight Kings play.
Oh, you mean Wall E, the little so the guys that in space in their little hovers watching, some daytime TV or something.
Yeah, that's the Blight Kings just walking forward, and then he's the captain at the back, just. Oh, the Blight Kings, yeah, big up.
And then there's one list which is no subfaction, classic Maggot Kid of Nurgle. Very leaning heavily into a lot of Slaves to Darkness units. So 3 units of 20 Marauders, 6 Varangard. I'm going to touch on that later, so we'll go in depth on that. That's my wild card pick.
Okay.
Alan joins, who often does well at these tournaments. You've streamed Alan's games quite a few times, and yeah, I've recently played against Marauders who've got blades on them with full rerolls, and it's disgusting. I hope Colonel Cabbage is here because he's probably going to have some sort of PTSD when I talk about that later.
Whenever anyone mentions Marauders, he's just triggered in the chat, and it's my favourite.
And then Skaven, Rob. We've only got 4 Skaven lists, but between 2 of them, there are 320 Plague Monks. So
wow.
Yeah.
Now I know that they had a War Scroll change, but they still kick out a lot of wounds for people to roll against. Yeah. I think one of the things that's interesting here. Carry on. Talk to me about Skaven for a second. Sorry.
No, you're okay. Honestly, I think if anyone would like to see what's possible in Skaven, having a look at the 4 Skaven lists, it's brilliant. There's 2 what are they called? Foul Rain congregations where they've got loads and loads of monks. So yeah, there's one with 120 and one with 200. Then there's a very elite Skyer list, Rob, which has got Storm Fiends as battle line. It's got MSU Storm Fiends. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 4 units of Storm Fiends.
See, I quite like that. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm gonna deep dive that list later in the week. That's really interesting because I still think that there's a lot to unpack there with the Storm Fiends.
Oh yeah, definitely, and he's got some other stuff to go with it. He's got all the suite of heroes to buff them all up, and then he's got some Jezzails in there as well. Yeah, I think I haven't seen it for ages either because there was that whole Storm Fiends thing where you could take 9, and I did see 2 units of 9 at Blood and Glory in 2019, and then it all settled on maybe having 6, and then now
pushed it down to 6, yeah.
Yeah, FAQ pushed down to 6, which made the buffs a bit less. You get less out of those buffs, like more warp power. But yeah, so I'd have a little look at that. It looks like fun to play. And then there's a classic mixed list, which it might be Ridge who's in the chat. This is a bit like the sort of lists that you'd see Cole Wright playing a few months ago, which is like, you've got Brats, you've got a Bell, you've got 6 Storm Fiends, you've got some Storm Vermin. You've got like what I call like the Swiss Army knife. So you've got a little bit of everything. You've got some range, you've got some combat punch, you've got bodies, you've got some good magic. Obviously, they got the gnaw holes. So I like that little classic. I think he's got 6 Jezzails and
9 Jezzails. You just saying in the chat.
Oh,
I'm not certain I rate Jezzails, but like I get why they're in the list because they're such a long bomb threat output, and it is significant. And I think if you commit to something like 9. You really are putting some terror into your opponent at some point. I think 3 to 6. I think probably I'd go 0 or 9. I think I'm more on Ridge's side in that particular example. So that's quite interesting. Super fun. All right, Chaos looking hot. I'll break down a bit of order for everyone in the chat. So 3 Cities of Sigmar, 4 Daughters of Cain, 1 Fyreslayers, and it's not Hermdar. Let's go. Round of applause. I'm just throwing that out there. 2 Deepkin. One of my favourite lists is in there. 6 Karajan Overlords. That's the headline. 0 Lethician Defenders for some reason. Lumineth Realm Lords, there are only 2. They're both Sire. Seraphon are 4. I'm going to break down one of those lists. Very excited about it. Stormcast Eternals 1. And Sylvaneth 1. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, thumbs. I like everyone who always do you know what? Time to bring back the trees. Yeah, let's fucking go. Yeah, and then they get there and they're like, oh, damn it. But I'm hyped for that. There's really not much to break down really from the Sylvaneth. Stormcast list. I quite like the Stormcast list. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's got 2 Drakes. It's also got Croak and it's got the Comet. So we've seen this list a couple of times before. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, the global mortal wound bomb, basically. You've got 2 lots of mortal wounds coming out from Rain of Stars from the 2 Drakes. You've also got +1 to cast, so that's giving Croak some pluses to cast, which is really important. He's also got a global Mortal Wound spell as well, and also then the Comet, so that's the Endless Spell Everblaze Comet coming out of Stormcast. That is again some Mortal Wound, so you can do some very targeted Mortal Wound damage every single turn. The battle line's a bit thin on the ground, it's just some Liberators, but you know, Star Drakes are also really good. I'm going to also point out that I think Star Drake stonk's probably going up, ultimately. One of the things I expect to see in Age of Sigmar 3 in the future, because it's got some parity with 40k, is I expect to see unit coherency very significant. Very much like we've seen, if you guys aren't aware, in 40k, if you've got a unit over 5, you have to keep 2 models within 2 inches. And because Age of Sigmar coherency is 1 inch, I expect it to go to 2 models within 1 inch. It will change up a whole bunch of stuff, no conga lines and other things. It might not be true, but I think Star Drakes have got a really unique ability, having played against them a couple of times, for their ability to eat out a model in a unit. It's available in loads of other units, but 2 Star Drakes have caused havoc to my Kadai before. Played Darren Watson on TTS, ripped my Kadai unit in half by just picking out the right. And there really wasn't anything I could do because of the basing. I couldn't really orientate them in the right way so that he couldn't not do it. there was no solution, and I was like, no. So anyway, really like the Stormcast. Go on, after you.
Yeah, all I was going to say just on that note, there's 2 things to bear in mind with that, which is the Drakesworn Templar and the Star Drake. Once you get them in, and you want to get them in, they have a -1 to cast, which stacks. So if they get them in, they can put off -2 to cast. Because basically the wording is you can't. It's not as if you can only be affected by the same ability once. You can put them both in, and you get -1 to cast within 18 off both of them, which is quite helpful in a Magic meta. And then the hammer on that Drakesworn, it reduces pile-in by 2. So for example, if you activate, if you get the activations correct and make it so that they've piled in and attacked before the Drakesworn goes, then he can bite out, and they can't pile back into coherency. So there's some fun stuff in that Stormcast list. Fun.
Yeah, really fun. So Cities of Sigmar is a 2 Hammerhall list, is a Living City list. Living City list has got a nice mixture of stuff. The Hammerhall list that I'd like to focus on for a moment quickly, it's got all the Demigryph Knights in. Now this Hammerhall list hasn't actually changed points, hasn't actually won an event publicly. It's a bit of a deep cut, I know, but hasn't publicly won any tournaments, but has taken away a tournament in the UK before, and is fairly significant, I would say. And that's got the big brick of 6 Demigryphs and a bunch of 3 Demigryphs in Hammerhall. I quite like that list. I think that's fun. Daughters King lists are. Oh, sorry, Owen. You got any thoughts on it, Owen?
All I was going to say is that's Ralph, who you had on the stream at Bloodshed in the Shires. Ralph Hughes, a fellow South London Legion player. So, and I really like the. I love a Frostheart Phoenix, so I really like the inclusion of the Frostheart Phoenix to pin stuff in and give the Demigryphs a chance to get up the board and smash. And also, a Phoenix is fast enough to get up there, and a Phoenix going twice is quite scary, especially if they've put the Commandability on to reroll all the wounds. I expect Ralph to do well with that. It's a good list. But you were going to talk about daughters, we'd say, Bob.
Yeah, just saying, no Hagnart. Interesting takes. 3 Calibron and 1 Keltnar. Now, obviously, we have just seen all of the FAQs come out this week, and I think moving away from Hagnar might be a thing that we see more, especially now that those 5... I think we talk about the prayers all day. I think there's a really good conversation about the prayers and how that's affected the army. But honestly, it's got to be that the Fanatical Faith role doesn't benefit against mortal wounds, in my opinion, is kind of a key takeaway. So that would be, it used to be a 5-up, now it's not a 5-up, it's just a flat 6-up. And I think Calibron with the teleports, and also Keltnar, Keltnar I think is retreat and charge. I'm pretty certain.
It is indeed. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's right.
Keltnar, and I think we might see more, get used to hearing Keltnar a lot, really. Retreat and charge units in there. Loads of Shadow Stonkers, always in these lists. We're seeing a lot of Bloodstalkers, we're seeing a lot of Marathi. I think Benjamin's point the other day, which I still think is really valid. I know that there was some criticisms of his points, but I think he makes a really good point, is that we're going to just see Snakes and Marathi a lot, and Shadow Stonkers a lot, because they're just so good. And really, what you're choosing inside Daughters of Cain. You're going to see less Hagnar because they've taken away a lot of bonuses that the Hagnar get, and you're going to see more Keltnar and also Calibron because you get more bonuses. The army's just given a bunch of extra tools that way. So, like, I think we're going to see those Grand Alliances more, basically.
Yeah, I think as Pete Pratt and also Ridge in the chat are saying about Keltnar, I think you were going to see it more because it's cool and retreat and charge. But I think now with the FAQ to give Morathi back her -2 rend, like retreating and charging with Mind Razor on her is proper scary time, right? Because that's going to be -3 rend. And +1 damage on the charge as well, I believe. So yeah, I expect to see Keltnar. The other day, little tiny story. Math Mallow, who might be in the chat, he was using Morathi with Mind Razor, and he just did the one Envenom Tail attack over the top of a screen to hit the Xantos on turn 1. This is a tournament game. He had Catechism, rolled the 6, 2 hits, 14 damage, one-shotted Xantos, get off the board.
Wow.
Because the tail went from 6 to 7 damage, and then he got them both through to do 14 damage, and it was magnificent.
Good job, lovely. All right, love that. Now the Lumineth lists are Sire, both of them. So there's not much to break down there really. They are both in. They one. I think only one of them has the. Oh no! Hold on. Orlan Legion. Am I saying no? I don't know. How do you say it, Owen?
Well, how do you spell it? Is it
Aurlan?
Yeah. Isn't there something between the L and the A there on the R? I think I would say Aura.
Orlan.
Yeah, Orlan Legion.
Orlan. Thanks everyone, because apparently I say it like an idiot. So appreciate all of you for helping me there. Orlan. Anyway. So and then Fireslayers is a Vostarg list. Still, it's Fireslayers. There's not much to break down there. Deepkin, like, not trying to be rude, just where
you are being rude. That's John Cately, who's an absolute legend.
He's a legend. I'm not saying. I don't know what you want me to say.
He's not playing Hermdar, so he's a wonderful person.
Agreed. That's what I can say about. It's more about him and not playing Hermdar than it is. I don't know if there's any. I don't think that there's any particular tactical bonus for not playing it. You're just a good guy for not doing it. Is that what we want to take away from that?
He's got 2 gun haulers as well. I like. Yeah, you're probably right there, Rob. We're probably giving him props because he's not taking the true filth.
I like the gun haulers. I like the gun haulers in the list. I think that's super wicked. I think that's we've seen this before as well. Like I don't know if it was still him. Maybe it was actually him before. So if it was you before that we talked about this 4-star list with the 2 gun haulers, then props. I'm a big fan, and I actually like the reverse as well. I like the KO lists that bring in. The Fireslayers at the same time. I think that actually makes more dynamic KO lists, which I think is quite cool. And probably the same is true for the Fireslayers. Do you know what? I'm probably just showing some bias, and I apologise deeply. Moving on to Deepkin though. Deepkin, 2 lists. They're both Booth 1. One of the lists, Owen, though, has 7. No, that's not wrong. That's not right. I don't have enough fingers. I'm doing it right now. 11 sharks.
It's our man Sven again, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
The killer of Archaon. It's great, right? All those shots, all that speed. Sharks OP. I do actually think Sharks should go up a little bit because they're going in everybody's lists, aren't they? I played against Sharks in Calibron. I've played Sharks myself in Living City. Shark stonks are
really high. Really high. 11 is very strong. Very impressed by the 11. And then it's loads of eels. What's also amazing is it's 11 and you still can fit 3 lots of 3 defensive eels in the list, Owen. Which is
it's because it's aggressively pointed, Rob. I think that's the term. Aggressively pointed.
Aggressively pointed, right into the competitive middle. And then KO. That's the big shout out here. 6 of them. 4 are Barak Ziflin, 2 are Barak Thring. There's a nice one with 20 Thunderers in it. Woohoo! And another list that's double Ironclad. We've got a lot of spells in bottles. a lot.
Yeah, there's one. I think it might be. I might be mistaken on this. It's either Bjorn, Redmore, or Sluker who play a lot of KO. There's one in there that's like got Demon Rift out of Spell in a Bottle, and then it's got a Lord Exorcist allied in. So you've got the Comet and you've got the Demon Rift inside KO. And yeah, this is my favourite one, Rob, which we're going to talk about in a bit. The Barak Thring. I believe that this gentleman came in the top 5 at Battle of Copenhagen. I think he went 4-1 with a Thring list, but he's gone, right, I need less troops, and I'll put another Ironclad in. So it's Barak Thring, and it's got 2 Ironclads and 20 Hearthguard Berserkers.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like that list. Like, I think it's like it adds some real dynamic play to the KO book. And I feel like you would enjoy playing against it more. But we'll see. Okay, all right, sweet. So that's kind of everything. Let's talk about some lists.
We haven't talked about our Lizard Overlords, Rob. We haven't.
Because James Beaton. I wanted to talk about James Beaton, actually. Yeah, Lizard Overlords. Sorry. Thank you so much. I almost forgot. So there's 2 Fangs of Sotek. There's a Draco's Tail. And then there's also a Cottle's Claw. And the Cottle's Claw list, I mean, they are what you expect to see from all of these lists all the time anyway. The Cottle's Claw list is the list I like the most out of this, because the Fangs of Sotek lists are great. The Draco Tales list is also great. They're both very successful competitive lists that we've seen time and time again. Like, there's some variances, but it's all the variances are all the same, right? And then the Cottle's Claw list I'm a big fan of. And I'll talk about this more in a moment when I go get the list. Because it's just different, but still just as equally strong as the other lists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And James has been playing he's been playing his version of Seraphon for years, and he's got I've played him in real life at a Warhammer Heat. He's an OG Seraphon player, so it'd be nice to talk about something other than Fangs or Draco Tail, because it's such a great book, and there's loads of stuff that you don't see, and he's playing a bit of that, isn't he? Which is nice.
He is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about that. Okay, so we're going to talk about like some lists that we like now. Owen, would you like to kick us off?
Yes. So we have the usual format of head, heart, and wild card. So the head pick is going to be what we think would be what's a good pick to potentially win. Heart, maybe what you want to win, and then a little cheeky wild card. So my head pick is previously mentioned Marcus Fredrickson with a Caradron Overlords Barak Thring list. Now, Rob, I noticed reading the lore for Barak Thring, this is your Skyport. Would you like to know why?
I'd love to know why. I like getting thrown in here. Yeah, let's go.
This is translucent. No, sorry, not even translucent. I'll start again. Truculent, ill-tempered, stuck in the past and set in their ways. These are just a few terms used by rival Skyports to describe those who hail from Barak Thring.
What the fuck, Owen?
This is the joke. These ultra-conservative Dwarden judge everything against the glories of the past and inevitably find that it measures short.
Oh my god. This isn't me. I'm not some Age of Sigmar 1 player who's triggered. Yeah, that's not what this is.
I just thought it was Tory Rob. It just sounds like Tory Rob. Grumbling about the past, twitching in neck curtains, moaning about all the youngsters having a good time.
Oh god. Listen, I'm the one who's excited about the new Lumineth release. I think it's great. Like, absolutely, 11 out of 10. So how dare you? I'll start talking to you about the Lumineth rules if you want, Owen. Yeah, if you want to see who gets triggered between the two of us.
No. I just saw ultra conservative and then thought I'd make a lame joke. So that was that.
It's all right. The chat are loving it, so it's fine. Like,
sweet.
We're all about it.
So it's Barak Thring, Thring-a-ding-ding. It has a rune smiter. So the things with Barak Thring, we won't go into too much depth because we'll be here till the tournament starts tomorrow. But yeah, Barak Thring, 1 in 4 units can be Dwarden. All the KO foot units and the heroes fight on death on a 4-up. And then there's a couple of really good abilities. The article is Chronicle of Grudges, so 3 enemy units at the start of the game, Rob, and your whole army rerolls 1s to hit against them for the battle. Super strong. And then the footnote, which is Honor the Gods just in case, is once per battle in shooting or combat, 6s explode. So, what this is, it's a smiter. An Engine Master with a harness who has the trait and the artifact, so he fights on death on a 2-up, and he's got a hammer, a big hammer. 3 units of 10 Arcanauts, 20 Hearthguard Berserkers, a Grundstock Gunhauler with a Sky Cannon, an Ironclad with a Sky Hook, and another Ironclad with a Sky Cannon. So it's double Ironclad with 20 Hearthguard Berserkers that tunnel up with the Rune Smiter. There's not many models. I don't really like shooting and I don't really like KO per se, but I do respect this and what it wants to do. And it just looks cool to play. Like the one Ironclad has got +2 to charge and has an Ogre charge Great Endrin work. So he's got a punchy Ironclad to go and punch and tag things in. He's got another one to buzz around. He's got a little gun hauler, and then the threat of 20 Hearthguard Berserkers with the poleaxes. So that's it. Marcus Fredrickson is my head pick, Rob. What do you think?
It's good. It's really good. I think one of the things about putting the Fire Slayers into the KO is that they lack inside their own army a certain level of dynamic play. Specifically, they can shoot stuff off the objective, but they can't really move onto the objective. They're like bang, 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 and it's like, I'm a boat, and they're like, cool, I'm 2 dudes, and they're like, well, I'll shoot you off, and it's like, cool, you're still just 1 boat. And I think adding that in is really, really, really good. And also those Ironclads, like Luke Willoughby is saying in the chat, is a lot of DACA. Like, it's a lot of shots, and it's also like some power, and they're really hard to get rid of as well. Like they're tough to take off the board, and so I can kind of see why. It's not that I don't think 2 frigates are good as well. I just think that it's just a ton of output, and you like really suffer. It's like when you play the guy, the Engine Master in the dirigible suit, and he just keeps shooting, and you're like, stop it, stop this.
Yeah, I mean, with an army where one of the models has got guns on his moustaches, you kind of know what you're getting in for with that. There's just guns everywhere.
But even then, you're like, this is horrific, and I hate this. So, like, yeah, like I can really see why having the Fire Slayers inside it is like a really good play, and also because you can just shoot yourself a place to put the Fire Slayers into, which I think is fun. Very interested to see how they come up against kangaroos in the future. But for now, a very playable army, and I think really, really good. Yeah, I'm into that. I agree. Also thinking about the whole meta as a whole, like they've got some really nice matchups, I would say. So more on that. We'll see how it plays. Maybe we'll get it on the stream. It'll be really nice to see how that plays. My heart pick. Let me just make sure I've got this up for you. My head pick, James Beaton. Now, I think I would just pick any of the. You could pick any of the kind of KO, Seraphon, and also I know Thiepkin plays factions as doing well. But I'm going to talk about like a Seraphon list that I still think is as strong as some of the other Seraphon lists. We talk a lot about like what can be done to kind of maybe new to like some of the Seraphon lists, but James Beaton running a Cottl's Claw Seraphon list. So it's got Lord Croak in, of course, and then it's got a Scarvet on Carnosaur. It's got the Starseer, Star Priest, another Star Priest, and Skink Priest. So, and then it's got 2 lots of 10 Saurus Knights, 5 Saurus Knights, and 10 Saurus Warriors. And then it's got a 3 Razordon Hunting Pack, which is still very, very cheap. 80 points per Razordon. Same thing that we talk about when we talk about the Salamanders. They just have they don't have the output, but they're still significantly cheaper. That's a lot of wounds and a lot of output from those Razordons. But it's the Firelance Temple Host that they're in, which I think is quite interesting. So this is 160 point War Scroll Battalion. It's the Saurus Scarvet, which is in there, and the 3 units of Saurus Knights. You can add 3 to run and charge rolls for units from the battalion that are holding within 18 inches of the Scarvet. So it really lets you go and do what you already saw happen with the Skinks anyway. You buff them up with the Star Priests, the Starseer, and the Skink Priest. You've got command points for days, and then you've got the Scarvet on Carnosaur, who's going to run forward with the Saurus Knights, and he's just going to give them all that. Like, they're going to charge, they're going to do all those extra hits. The jaw attacks, you've got +1 jaw attack, so you've got, like, it's kind of like what the Skinks War Scroll naturally does for them, but going into this sub-faction, you end up with all those extra attacks, so you can proc all those extra mortal wounds, and it's also really fast, and that -1 damage is also significant, because 10 Saurus Knights for 200 points, 40 wounds. Not 40 wounds, 20 wounds. Yeah, 20 wounds.
Yeah.
Like, for 200 points is a bargain. Like, it's great. Yeah, really, really good.
I didn't know what that Fire Lance did, but also with the inclusion of the Starseer and also the spell on Celestial Equilibrium, if I'm not mistaken, is the Battle Shock immunity. So, and then the Starseer can give a 3d6 charge. Again, it's Seraphon, so you don't need to spend any points or roll any dice. You just point at something. Anyway, salt over. So yeah, anyway, 3d6 charge at +3 sounds pretty spicy. Do knights have a +1 to charge perhaps on their wars? No, they get a reroll, don't they, from the drummer on the knights. So yeah, he's got the +1 save spell, obviously from the priest, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got smash potential, but it's also got pin potential as well, doesn't it? Like 10 knights with all of those buffs and stuff can shoot across the board, pin stuff in place, and then be, as you say, -1 damage. Worst sub-faction, -1 damage.
Well, like Lou Willoughby's pointing out, you get 35 attacks, 10 wounds, 9-inch move, a rerollable charge for 100 points. And so stacking that all in there is really, really, really good. And I think that this list is, again, it's unfortunate that those models are horrible looking, but you can get some really nice Saurus model sculpts and STLs out there in the world. And so I think you could see, and it also, when you do play against Seraphon and they're doing something even through a Troglodon that's quite funny, or the double shooting Bastillodons, but this is like dinosaurs riding dinosaurs with a big dinosaur behind them running forward, the slant at the back of the board. It fits into all of those things that you really, really want from a Seraphon/dinosaur army. When you like dinosaurs, if you saw that on the table, you'd be like, it's a cool amount of dinosaurs, man. That's I'm really into that. That's fine. I think we give Seraphon a hard time, and it's a very, very strong book. Very, very strong book that plays very, very well. This also plays very, very well. Really thematic, works really nice, and I think can win events as well. It really can, because it's very, very fast.
Yes, and speed kills, as we know, Rob. Speed kills.
It does. It absolutely does.
Right, shall we talk a little bit about some heart picks? So baby. That's head.
This is the hardest one. I've actually really just done 2 heart picks. That's what I've done.
I've done 2 heart picks anyway. So the first one, Scott Baker coming in hot and stealing my heart by being the first person I've ever seen to play Volgorath the Scarred and Scallock the Skull Host.
That's a big heart pick. Good choice.
Mate, that's the Khorne Dragon, the big Forge World Khorne Dragon. But he's actually built it as best can build it. I mean, we're gonna forego the information that the Bloodstoker can't whip him because he literally can't fit the 8-inch ore around the base, which is a bit sad. But he's gone. It's nicely built, actually. I know we're joking and stuff, but I actually think that this is going to get the best out of him. So he's running it in the Slaughterhouse, which is the Flayed, which you find in the Wrath of the Everchosen book. Which kind of it is the Flayed is more mortal based, does some buffs for prayers and things like that. So he has Volgorath the Skull and the Scallock the Skull Host of Khorne. He then has Triple Slaughter Priest, always a big fan of that. One has the Vessel of Butchery. So the Vessel of Butchery, that gives reroll 1s on the prayers, wholly within 8. So it's like a portable skull altar. So all your priests don't have to cluster around the altar, which is quite nice. And then, he's got 3 Slaughter Priests. One's got Killing Frenzy, +1 to hit. One's got Bronze Flesh, +1 to save. One's got a D3 heal, which is nice. And then he has the mandatory artifact for +2 to charge. And his general has a 2-up DPR against spell damage from the Brazen Rune, which is nice. And then he's got 20 Reavers, 10 Reavers, 5 Blood Warriors in a Gore Pilgrims. So the trick with this is he just wants to keep alive Volgorath the Scarred. And if he does it in a perfect storm, the Flayed's ability is end of the combat phase. If you kill a hero or a monster, you get +1 to save for the rest of the game. So if he can go in and kill a monster or kill a hero, then that puts the big Khorne Dragon on a 2-up. Bronze Flesh puts him on a 1-up. So he can be a 1-up save, and he can have +2 to hit, because there's a CP from the Flayed, which is +1 to hit on the charge, and then he can get +1 attack from the Bloodstoker. So, I mean, we've gone from dinosaurs to possibly the biggest dragon in the game. It's pretty low drop as well. If I'm not mistaken, that's a 2-drop. So he can alpha the shit out of something if he wants to.
Just go straight in. I think I think what I'd like to just mark this conversation. I'm just going to do that on the stream now. Just mark this, because this is Owen like tentatively talking about the Khorne Dragon, but weeks away from Owen being like, so I'm running the Khorne Dragon now. This is where I'm at. Yeah, I want everyone to mark this. I can see this already. It's like, do you know what? Maybe it's got more legs than... Because I think you can go 3-2-4-1 with the Khorne Dragon, like, which is bold, I know, but I think you can. And like you said, like that's tough to get rid of, right?
Yeah, and as Gutsman said in the chat, I had a quick skim over the War Scroll earlier. I didn't write it in my notes, but he's just got flat -3 to cast aura, Rob. 18-inch bubble, I believe.
Yep.
It's like pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's a 2-drop because he needs to be able to go first so that his opponent just doesn't put up lines and lines of shit so you can't land the Khorne Dragon anywhere important. So he's going to go 2-drop, insert the Khorne Dragon somewhere in the middle of the army, and have fun with that. It is a bit sad that he does D3 mortal wound impact hits, and I think it's on like a fucking 3-up as well, whereas to 1 unit, I think. But yeah, so Scott Baker, How to Train Your Dragon. Very much appreciate your list, and I want you to do well. Good fun times to be had with the Khorne Dragon.
Very excited to see Owen running that in but a few weeks. So mark it on your calendars, everyone. All right, so I've got 2. And one of them is just like a true heart pick. Like there's no like real tech to it. It's just like loads of love. But I'm just trying to find fucking Iron Gutsman's list. Damn it! Like I can't. He hasn't got his name on the. Never mind. This is my fault. Sorry, everyone. I know the essentials of it. I just want to make sure I read it out in exact order.
I know it's Winterbite, so he's.
Yeah, I know it's Winterbite. I know it's Winterbite, and I know it's got the. Hold on, let me get the skull, and it's got 7 times 3 Yetis, which is the important point. But I just wanted to find the doggo contingent because there is also a doggo contingent as well.
I've got it in front of me, Rob. If I want,
please, if you could.
So it's Stuart Iron Gutsman. The list is called "Yeeting My Way into 2021" with 21 Yetis. Yeah. So I appreciate a bit of wordplay, but yeah, crack on then, Rob. What are we looking at?
Oh, so as the aforementioned 7 times 3 Icefall Yetis, 110 points for those bad boys. It's the 4 Frost Sabers and the 2 Frost Sabers and the Skull. And then we've got the Fire Belly. It's in Winterbite with Billowing Ash. So as we know, it's that -1 to hit from Winterbite. And then with the Billowing Ash potentially producing another -1 to hit, which we'll get onto when we talk about the Yetis in a minute. The Frostlord on Stonehorn with the Frostfang and the Black Clatterhorn. So he's just your like missile. You just like, by the way, the rest of my army can do this, but also this guy. Yeah, he's just your big mate. Like, everyone's picking on you, and then you just go, let me just ring my big mate, and here he is. That's the Frostlord on Stonehorn. Then you got the Huskard on Thundertusk, who's actually the general with the command trait Winter Touched, and then you got the Icebrow Hunter. Now, just to talk about this for a moment, so the Winterbite Commandability, this is the important part here, in my opinion. So you got Ghost in the Blizzard, which is what you get for being Winterbite, which is subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by missile weapons that target friendly Winterbite units wholly within your territory. So start of the turn, and that's going to play really nice into KO, right? Really nice. And then the Commandability is the one that's really important. You can use Commandability at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, you pick 1 friendly Winterbite hero, friendly Winterbite Frost Sabers and Yetis wholly within 12 of that hero can fight at the start of the combat phase. These units cannot fight again in that combat phase. So you could basically MSU charge your 7 units of 3 Yetis, and you can just go first, like smashing and bashing, but not everyone is always strikes first. So you can hit in quite a large bubble. So your Stonehorn's like whomp, and then everything else goes, and then a Stonehorn goes, and that's after impact hits. So you've got so you've got the opportunity to do a bunch of impact hits as well from all the charging, which is quite nice. So you can kind of proc that, and I think that works really, really nice.
So would you say, Rob, it was less smashing and bashing and more icing and splicing?
Yes, I would. And let me read out the War Scroll for the Yetis, because this is the fun part. For the Icefall Yeti. So they move 9 inches. I'll talk about that in a minute. The unit is eligible to fight in the combat phase if it's within 6, so it's got the good pile-in. of a unit instead of 3, and it can move. So it's got an extra 6-inch pile in. They're 4 wounds each, so it's 12 wounds from the unit. They've got 3 attacks each, so that's going to be 9 attacks from the unit. They're 4s, 3s, rend 1, 2 damage, which is quite nice. And then you subtract 1 from the hit rolls for attacks by melee weapons that hit them. So if you wanted to alpha them, they'd be minus... no, that's not true. They're -1 to hit from shooting at the start of the game, and then they're -1 to hit in melee, which is quite nice as well. So there's like a lot of doubling up on the minuses to hit. So I just really like that. I think it's really fun. Like, it's really MSU. They got lots. Oh, thank you to Killer Carol for subscribing. Thanks to Frawn for gifting 3 gift subscriptions in the chat. Thanks, Frawn90. That's lovely of you. So yeah, really like this. Don't talk about their save. No, they have got a 6-up save, and they are Bravery 6, but which is why you don't do a big brick of them. But I just like this list. I think it's really good. And again, trying to do something else with that Ogre More Tribes book, I really like. Yeah, what do you think?
I just think that the Triumph bid needs to be talked about as well. Have you seen how that's noted on the list there, Rob?
Oh God, what does it say? What does it say? Yeet him away. It says large testicles Triumph bid 1930.
1930. He wants that Triumph more than anything else.
I really want that Triumph. Yes, 100%. Yeah, I like this list. I'd like to see it play. I think it'd be really, really fun. So that's a heart pick from me. What's your last one?
So I've got 2 left. I've got my second heart pick. There's not much to talk about it. It's just basically it's the aforementioned Bacon cannon. So this is Warmill Harry playing Ironjaw's Iron Sons. He has a double Gorefist battalion. So this is essentially he has 8 units of 3 Gore Grunters. So it's 4 into each of those 2 Gorefists. And then he has 2 War Chanters and 2 Weird Knob Shamans. So it's like it's like a Noah's Ark of Bacon cannon. Everything came in 2 by 2. 2 Shamans, 2 War Chanters, 2 Gorefist battalions. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bacon cannon.
I present to you, pigs.
Yeah. So he's got a teleport. He's got loads of ways of generating CPs. And he's just going to keep buffing up little units of pigs and throwing them at you and blowing stuff up. The mission packs worked out quite well for him, with shifting objectives and the extra points for battle line, because all the pigs are battle line. When I say pigs, I mean Oracle Gore Grunters. And then that Gorefist battalion, in the first hero phase, they all get to move 9 inches, don't they?
They do,
which is fun.
Yeah. I like, so you could just throw it. You could zone out a board very effectively. I wonder how well that'll actually play into a KO list, like where they're like, I want to drop down. It's like, cool, pigs everywhere, and you're like, oh, balls. Like, I guess I'll stay in this corner. You can't put this boat anywhere. Big love to Fraud also for donating 50 bits to the show. It's very much appreciated. Loads of love. 1850 Triumph bids for Hammer Time. People are just putting less and less points in their list so they get a bid. That's good. All right, I love that list, by the way, and would be really, really fun to play. And then finally, my other heart pick goes out to Sven. Me and Sven falling in love a little bit. Inet Deepkin, Futhwan. I talked about it already. Volturnus, and then 3 times 3 Ishling Guard, and then 11. That's right, 11 Alapexes, all with the harpoons. We've seen 10 play before. 11 is wildness. And then somehow room for 2 times 3 Ether Wings as well. Somehow still room. That's a terrifying list, actually. As much as that's a heart list, I think it's got no legs, actually. I was like, it's got legs, but it's got none. It's got 0 legs. But I think the Shark Cannon could do some real work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw it, right? It went 3-0 at one of my events. Yeah, the last Hammer Time 7, he went 3-0 and booked a place in the finals with it. So, yeah, and obviously, Sven, we saw it on the stream, didn't we, against Marcus's Living City, and it's just
we did.
Seemed like a pretty
one-sided
rough
event. Yeah, we also saw it versus Archeon, and we also saw that as well. So, like, I know it's a spam list, but like, I don't know. Like, I agree with you. Sharks are cheap. cheap. 16 wounds for 220 points on a 4-up save that can do some pretty phenomenal output as well. But it's the fact that it's just that much shooting. Like, it's really not what you expected out of a Deepkin list, and I think it plays so uniquely. And it's just that ticking time bomb. I mean, like, and also that MSU, so many units, so much board control. Like, I think being on the receiving end of it, awful. Playing with it, you would have a great time. So, I'm calling it. Yeah. Anyway, really good. Okay, sweet. Well, that's everything.
I've got one more.
You've got one more. I'm so sorry. What an ignorant fuck I am.
This is, so I had 2 little heart picks, and then I've got a wild card for you.
Okay.
So yeah, Colonel Cabbage, be ready for this. So this is I do really rate this list. The more you look at it, this is Alan Joins with a Nurgle list. So he hasn't gone Blessed Sons, he hasn't gone Magnificent Wanderers. He's just gone traditional book. And on the face of it, it just looks like a collection of stuff. But then the more you dig in, it's got some real excellent synergy. So it's a great unclean one. There is then Fecular Flyblown, I believe that's an Underworlds, the little Underworlds gang, Fecular Flybone with her 2 worm spat dudes. There's a Chaos Sorcerer Lord on foot, and then there are 3 units of 20 Chaos Marauders, and 6 Varangard, Mark and Nurgle, and then 2 War Shrines, Rob.
Wow. Double War Shrine, big deal at the minute.
Yeah. Double War Shrine is pretty big energy. Essentially, all he's doing here is he's leaning into. There's a couple of tricks, but he's mainly leaning into Blades of Putrefaction. So if he gets Blades of Putrefaction off, which is a spell that Fecula's taken, because it's old book, 6+ to hit does a mortal wound in addition. So basically, when a unit of Marauders has 10 or more models, it gets +1 to hit naturally on their War Scroll. So they're doing mortal wounds on 5s. So looking at it, he's basically got a 6-inch move on the Marauders, +3 inches from the Doomsday Bell, potentially another +2 if the wheel's in the right place, and he's got the ability to change the wheel with his command trait of Grandfather's Blessing. So we're looking at 11-inch base move, then run at +1, so let's say a 7-inch run if he forces a 6. And then you've got the Marauders auto charge. So they would charge a minimum of 8.
Charge.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is 26... Well, minimum threat range, if he doesn't have the wheel in the right place, is 24 inches. Maximum threat range is going to be 31 inches.
Wow.
With 40 attacks, or 41 attacks, re-rolling hits, because he can use the Chaos Undivided Prayer from the War Shrine, which is on 3-up to re-roll hits and wounds. So 41 attacks, re-rolling anything, 5 do mortal wounds, and then 3 force to wound with rerolls, -1 rend, and then he's got 3 of these missiles that he can send off. So he's got 3 units of 20 to just zeet off anywhere, and then 6 Varangard. 6 Varangard. You can put +1 save on them because they're Mark and Nurgle. So you've got a 2-up save, and they can go twice from their War Scroll. And then late game, once all that stuff's been blown up, he's got Nurgle summoning, and the War Shrines can buff themselves and go off and be a real threat. And then he's got some nice mortal wounds in the spell lore. So he's got Plague Squall for 7 dice each, 6 is D3 mortals. The little Fecular Flyblown, she just does a flat 3 mortal wound spell. You got Plague Wind off the Great and Clean one for some more mortal wounds. So he's got nice targeted mortal wounds, and then he's got that excellent spell Favored Poxes. So 21-inch range, half run, half move, half charge, no fly. So yeah, it's really nice to see Nurgle with slaves and it not be a Plague Touch battalion. I think he has played Plague Touch. He's got a Sork Lord in there to give the Varangard a 2-up rerollable save. Yeah,
I mean, I like the damage you were describing was not ever from the Varangard. It was like, and then there are Varangard, I think, which is fun. I just had this image for a moment of a nightclub of like a very like oiled up, muscly fella in a tight t-shirt dancing with a girl and not particularly much. And I was like, Daughters of Cain versus Marauders, just smashing face all day. And I want to be neither at that nightclub nor at that particular fight. Being between those two, that's going to be... I wonder who wins it, but I think one of the interesting elements about that list is it requires a lot of buff pieces to happen. So when you do actually look at the list in like detail, like there isn't loads left, if you know what I mean, in the actual, like, it's 3 blocks of 20 Marauders, and it's 6 Vanguard. Everything else is kind of there, but they can do incredible output.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say to people is don't underestimate War Shrines. Like in that Khorne mirror match, it was the fact that Morton had the double War Shrine, and they then late game buff themselves, reroll hits and wounds, or give themselves +1 save and reroll wounds. Yeah, when you push yourself forward like that, like in the late game, the War Shrines can be super clutch. And he's playing an army which has summoning, So even though he isn't leaning into summoning and making it a big thing, by turn 3 or 4, you can chuck some Plague Bearers somewhere where you've got a gap, or put an extra screen back up. So yeah, even though there's not huge amounts there, it all does a lot. There's loads of overlapping synergies, a lot of threats, speed, and then obviously the Great and Clean one is super resilient because he's got I believe it's either a trait or an artifact. Which is, it's the artifact, the Endless Gift. So in the Battle Shock phase, he just heals all the wounds he's taken on a 4-up. So he's like a harvester on his own. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, and Alan's a smart cookie, so I think he'll find all sorts of fun ways to run that. That would be one that I would expect to see doing quite well, and it's a bit of a different Nurgle list to what you normally see. So
a lot of the lists here are fairly different, actually. Like there's a nice mix-up of lists, I think, at this event. So excited to do the coverage tomorrow. So you guys should tune in for that. It's going to be very, very fun. Join us at, unfortunately, the ungodly hour of 8 a.m. What the fuck, man. Me and intern Matt in the future, people are like, do you want to do coverage? I'm like, if you start at 9 a.m. Yeah, if you start at 8, get out.
I think, Rob, there's one thing we need to do now, because we're going to wrap this up, aren't we? Oh, God, I just knocked my computer again. I've got to stop doing that. You got to do the draw, because I'm playing, then I can't do the draw. You've got to do the draw. Have you got the big button? You ready to hit the big button?
Give me but moments. Twitch chat, give me but moments. I'm going to create the draw. Owen's playing. So if we can get some Owen fans chants in the chat. So let's go over to here. Thanks to the TOs for letting me do this. This is very lovely of them. So I'm going to create the matches. Boom, 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 boom. And then generate matches. Let's go. Bush, I have done it. The round 1 draw is done. Ridge Hannah's playing Dylan Gray. Bjorn and Orkman are playing each other. Moonturn is playing Nice versus Mike Thomas. Morton is playing Niels, which is
Damn it!
Nice.
I've got Alan's list, the one that we've
You are playing against Alan. So we just talked about, so with all your Mortec.
Well, you know what? There's one thing we need to lean into here, which is Thomas Waller versus James Beaton on table 12. In preparation for this, they must have played, I think they've played 10 games against each other in preparation for this tournament, like with the same lists, like grinding, and now they've gone and drawn themselves on table 12. That's perfection. I love that. What else have we got in here? Well, everyone can have a dig through.
And look at the matchups, yeah. And we'll talk about that tomorrow as well. So that's going to be... Oh, Bogler versus Trogdor's fun. Nice. Big fan. Okay, all right, lovely. Thanks to the TOs for letting us do that. It's always appreciated. Do join us again tomorrow for the stream. Don't forget to join me and Mr. Adam Mumford in 2 hours, 15 minutes time. Yeah, that's right. 2 hours, 15 minutes time. We're going to be going through all of the Lumineth Realm Lords leaks. All of it. I think everything's out. I think we know everything is the kind of like big takeaway. We know points, we know rules, we know it all. And so excited to go through that. It could all be wrong, but I think it is the information. So join us again at 4 p.m. UK time and we'll go through the minutiae. I personally think that they're going to be fine. That's what I'm hoping. Owen, any thoughts?
No thoughts at this point in time. I'm going to reserve judgment. Busted. But no. I look forward to hearing what Adam's thoughts are. I'm sure he'll be really measured and considered, and not in any way hyperbolic. It's going to be wonderful.
Nope.
So yeah,
an adventure. Well, good luck tomorrow, Owen.
Thanks, man. I'm going to be going for that big 2-1 probably. You know what, Rob? I need to put a pin in this. I come on the internet quite regularly with you now and talk about Warhammer, but I'm distinctly average at the game, I reckon. I'm okay. I'm just above average, I reckon. But I just want people to know that when I come on the show on Monday and I've gone 1 and 2, then just cut me some slack, because I know what my level is. I know where I'm at, okay? I'm fun to play, but when push comes to shove, I don't think I've got the killer instinct. I just wanted to put that out there, okay, Rob?
I think the fact I think the fact that that you never try and take the busted stuff is kind of maybe like a pin in your problem. But we'll talk more about that. Listen, you win our hearts and minds every day, so that's all we need. Owen fans, emotes in the chat, please. Owen will be back on Monday to talk about all the events from over the weekend. Thanks for joining us. Join us again in 2 hours, going for a lunch break, read through all the stuff. Angle has got it right. That's the way we're going to start the next show. Hippity hoppity, get off my realm property is what the Overlords is going to be about. Right, I'll see you guys soon. Thanks very much. Have a nice day. Right, so sorry, I forgot. Let's go for the raid. I forgot. I'm sorry. Okay. I am really bad at this.
Are we back? We're back.
Yeah, we're back. We're
yeah.
back.
Okay.
We're back. We're back. I brought us back. Whew, shit. Let's do the raid. Owen, you get to choose.
Okay, fantastic. Talk to me. What are the options, please?
You have got 608 people are currently watching Warhammer, and most people, we're the most popular channel again. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Love that. You've got a guy called Hobgoblin Joe, who is painting. I can't really see what he's painting. You've got Dusty Telephone, who seems to be a lady painting. Owen, she's painting a Mortark.
Which one?
Arcan, I think.
Let's do it. Let's go there. I think so. Yeah, let's go there. What does the chat think? Should we go and see somebody paint Arcan the Black?
We should. Let's go do it. Let's do
that. Yeah.
Mainly because. So let's do this in the chat. Makeup tutorial. We'll do a makeup tutorial later, is what we'll do after the salty stream. We'll go do that. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Loads of love. Talk to you soon. Let's do the raid.